Ba-dum-bum.
Ba-dum-bum-bum. Welcome, Black.
Welcome, Black. You are listening to the Seedz of Revolution, Daughters of the Whirlwind podcast,
where we discuss legacy, history, resistance, and forward movement.
The revolution is live.
Hey. What's
Greetings.
up, y'all?
Hey.
Greetings.
Hey.
From the Most High.
Yeah.
I'm Dr. Asantewa Sunni-Ali.
I am Aiyisha T. Obafemi.
And I am Princess Mdaiyah Yisrael.
Ooh, Princess Mdaiyah, you got a little cold? A little something, a little congestion.
Claiming that.
It's little. It's
something trying to
it's
come
stuff
on
in
me.
the air.
Listen,
Something trying to come on
It's
me.
in the air.
I ain't
It's in
letting
the air.
It's definitely in the air.
I'm doing everything to push it
And
away.
not in just this state.
Oh, yeah.
When
it's
I was in
everywhere.
Vegas, people were telling me that people were calling them, oh, yeah, I can't come out. I can't do this. I'm not feeling well. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it's something
No,
going
it's
around
everywhere.
for sure.
DC just put out another air pollution type warning. Yeah. Every so often they put them out, letting people know if you got asthma or bronchitis, certain, breathing
Respiratory
apparatuses,
issues.
yeah, then you should stay inside or do whatever you're supposed to
Right,
do.
limit your time outdoors.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's serious out there, y'all.
Sir.
Very, very. So
Take
please
care.
be careful.
Yeah,
Yes.
do all your home remedies.
Yes.
I have been home remedied out.
Me too. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, doing all the things that mommy used to do.
We on this mullen tea right now.
Yes,
Yes.
garlic, honey,
Garlic,
onion
yeah.
concoction.
I had me a good clove of garlic this morning. Yeah. Full of honey.
Exactly, you got to just do
Yeah.
it. Doing it with all the children too, the babies.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you have to.
Yeah.
Just
We
fortify
have
their
to.
immune systems.
Absolutely.
And that's really all we can count on.
Yeah.
Like, it's really
It's
the home
fortifying our-
remedies because there's so many viruses out,
Yep.
and
We don't know
and-
what we fighting.
Exactly.
Right.
Even, I spoke with a doctor recently and they were like, we can't even keep track.
Yeah, and they
of
don't
all the
have
things
names
that-
for it.
They don't have names
Yeah.
for
But
them.
that just shows
just
you
a
how
virus.
much is just being put out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And they're not even telling the medical field pretty much. They're just out there experimenting in the world, dropping stuff, seeing what
And what they
survives.
do know is that the symptoms linger a lot longer than your average cold. So
Right.
maybe like, a month or 2 months.
And what do you think that does to your body?
Exactly.
Something lingering in your system that you don't even know what it is.
Right.
So definitely.
That's why we have to do our part to extract it out.
Definitely
Yeah.
keep extracting it out your system
Yeah.
as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, take care.
Yes.
Yes.
Like take care. Take
In
care of
many
yourself
ways.
in all the ways.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Holistic.
Yes.
And it aligns with, what we're talking about today. Another way of taking care of yourself. And if you all have realized, we have a theme here.
Yes.
This
we do.
entire season has been about taking good care of yourself.
Yeah.
Mentally,
Physically, spiritually.
psychologically, yeah.
Yes.
Financially.
In all the ways.
Yes.
All the ways.
Yes. So
And today we're going to focus on joy.
Yes.
joy and pain. I like sunshine.
And rain.
Bring it to me, y'all.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to I'm going to read a short bio
Okay.
on our guest.
Yes.
Grace Harry is an artist, entrepreneur, creative muse, pleasure instigator, and speaker. After an illustrious 30-year career in entertainment, Grace, the Joy Strategist, found her calling, leading what she calls the revolution of joy. Through her popular playdate community, Play with Grace, she helps everyday people welcome joy back into their lives. Her work has been featured in the New York Times, Hello Giggles, Vogue Online, The Times UK, the London Evening Standard, and many more. So, not only is she all of the things that I just read, she is also one of my starting 5, the lineup, as I am one of hers. So, without further ado, we welcome Grace Harry.
Hey.
Hey, Grace.
Thank you so much also for having me and for your patience with me. Technology, fun morning. And I just couldn't be more excited to have this particular conversation.
We are too.
Yes.
Super excited.
So happy to have you.
Yes.
Hi.
So
I was intrigued by that. What you said, Aiyisha.
Her bio.
Yeah, it was what does it say? The
Pleasure instigator.
What are we doing? Instigating pleasure. How we do that? You know what I'm saying? I like that.
Absolutely. So, despite your tech issues, how are you, Grace?
I'm so blessed. I just, I've had a beautiful weekend and just grateful to be here. And as you both know, nothing turns me on more than creative I'm so excited. Creative collaboration with people I love. So being on your podcast, you two, is just so much. It's like grown-up play dates. We get to have these beautiful conversations that impact people's hearts with people that we love deeply and support each other in real life. I mean, what could I complain about?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. So
I think that's the pleasure instigator. I'm sorry, just you said that before. I think that's what it is. It's that, it's if you surround yourself, as Aiyisha said, with Starting Five, they give you real shit when you need to hear it, but they also really elevate you like a soulmate would. Let me come in my conversation. Let me elevate you. Let me support what your dreams are. And that's really what I say is a pleasure instigator.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, thank you for that definition. People need to hear that. So y'all,
So go
I
out
hope
there
y'all are
and become
listening.
Instigators of
I was going to
Right.
say, we can all be pleasure instigators.
That's right.
Let's do
We
this.
need to all do that. Strive for that anyway.
Yeah.
So talk to us about this book that was just released recently, The Joy Strategist.
Yes, perfect. And you do. It's fun to talk to you both because you do know that I just found myself in the most aspirational kind of version of a life. Not for everyone, but kind of a version of an American dream. That in the last, I love that quote from Andy Warhol where he says, "In the future, everyone will have their 15 minutes." So in that reality, I was living like the dream of the 15-minute generation, and not happy, not feeling good, not able to access what I actually wanted, what I actually felt, being a people pleaser, fear rejectionite. And as simple and basic as it sounds, having to realize that I wasn't living from my heart, that even though we romanticize that and all our media says that we're all about our heart, we're not. We're all living lives defending pain, and I was too. I just found a big, deep cover. And when I realized it was as simple as taking myself back to leaning into the true joy strategist, which is your heart, everyone has one. We have a GPS. We've all had that moment where we've been in a car with someone or Uber, and they're telling you this is the address, and you're like, this is my childhood home, this is not the address. And they trust the GPS so much, but we don't, and we have one. But we've been taught to defend against pain, and so writing this has been a journey for my own self, how to not defend against pain, how to be brave enough or courageous enough, like what the origin of that word is for the heart, courage, to live in my dream, no matter what it looked like to people, no matter what it sounded like. And when I got tickled by that, I called one of my main members of my Starting Five, the person who not only has married me to one of my husbands, but has been like the don't jump off the ledge friend for so long and say, is this crazy? Is this seem so simple? Is this something the world would need at a time where real shit was going on? It was it was the middle of the pandemic, the beginning, and we were having all the issues with police and brutality and just everything, kind of just the beginning of where we are now. And it really hit me talking to you, Aiyisha, that this was profound. And this was something that simple message would be needed in your intuition so much more in the coming as life got more complicated. Yes. And at the very least, I thought I would love people who don't really understand me in my family or my friend group to really understand my heart in a way that I could communicate in a language that felt good to me. So I created this book as a lyrical essay so that everybody could figure out that they don't need an intermediary to talk to their version of source or heart or whatever God is of your understanding. And even in my friends, you and all of you who read the book and supported it and gave me very real advice, it felt like such an incredible mission of so many people coming together for the idea that we can have pleasure. We can have a life full of joy if we choose to create it that way. So there's the book. It was born, and it's here, and it's inspired these great conversations.
Yes, absolutely. And there's an audio version as well for folks out there who are interested. I had the honor of listening to the audio version, and it was just it was a joy. Like it was. To use one of your words that you use a lot, Grace, delicious. It was really great just to hear your voice. Your voice is so soothing and empowering. So I'm glad that you have that iteration of the book as well for those people who enjoy audiobooks.
Thank you. I really didn't want to do that. I didn't like my voice to sound smoky, and Amir really pushed for that.
Yeah.
So thank you for the first people to tell me. You don't know how it felt. I was nervous reading. So I'm so grateful that you listened to it and felt it through all that stuff.
Oh yeah, I didn't sense any of that at all, and the smokiness was great.
That's funny. Why do we not like our voices sometimes? I feel like sometimes I don't like hearing my voice.
Yeah,
and that's weird. What is that?
Because we
I think
sound
maybe
different to
as
ourselves.
kids, or also in this country, in this world specifically, we get media that there's a certain voice as a woman, there's a certain voice as a. So I think things play into that.
Yeah, so many things.
Yeah.
Aiyisha, I love your laugh. Oh my gosh.
Right,
Thank you. You're biased.
I was about to say, there it is.
You're biased. But no, and I feel like just watching like the rollout of the book, and all of the people who were posting it, and your talk about having your book signing right near your home, the one that you had in Brooklyn. Talk about that. How did that feel?
Well, as you both know, I love to read. And it's so funny. I made a joke recently somewhere. I'm sure it was in bad taste, but I was saying, like, I just feel like so comfortable and settled in where I feel now. But I think it's a world where it's okay to be whatever version of yourself. And so it was interesting to me to be like a secret nerd as a kid and know that wasn't the desired way to be popular or social or whatever the striving was at the time. So it was very ironic that a place near where I would go to a library and spend a lot of time and dive into different worlds. And this book was so amazing to me because I think I thought that I was going to make a book and then prove that I wasn't a loser. I wasn't an excellent somebody, still doing something. People leave the music industry and they think you just disappear because where else would you be? But I didn't. I came into it so grateful, so proud, and I think I'm so happy that you asked me that because the highlight was when they offered to have it there at the Barnes & Noble. I was shocked. It's a big store that they want to do it. That was so exciting. And they said you can have a Q&A, and there was no question that was my daughter had to do the Q&A. So it was, because although I was so excited to be doing it myself and so supported by my friends and so grateful and proud that everybody came out to support, and it was beautiful. But mostly I was just staring at this being that came out of my body that was just amazing and so comfortable and asking me questions, and it was such a gift on all levels, I have to say. I felt so proud of myself for things that really mattered to me.
As you should.
Yeah. I was
What
going
did you say?
I said, as you should. That's what it's all about. Like you did this, you put your heart and your soul into it. And, because I had been there with you, for the whole process and knowing what it took, the time you had to take, hiding yourself away so that you could just focus on getting it done and doing all of the things, missing out on certain things because this was important and it was important for you to get it done and get it finished. So to see that and then to have your firstborn, actually talk to you and ask you questions, I know that had to have, just given you such a great feeling of accomplishment.
I mean, again, talking to you two is so different because we have such an intimate relationship on my 5,000 levels, right? The three of us. So, but what we also share is that we're mothers. And, people get upset when I say that because, yes, it's a gift and a privilege. Not everybody chooses it. Not everyone is able. But we've all birthed something, a business, an idea, a lifestyle, a change in ourselves. And so to see that actually, in its own reality, you know what I'm saying? And people, it was magical. And also both of you understand the legacy because you also come from a family who really supports you being the versions of yourself, that's a gift in itself. A big part of why people don't lean into their heart.
It is.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say that you had multiple babies there, right? You had your biological baby and then the book baby.
Yeah.
and I love that you said that, you had that notion just for a little bit of like proving to folks like, hey, I'm still doing something, I'm worthy. And I think we all go through that. In fact, I personally had that feeling in terms of writing, an academic text, and I'm, still going through the process of what that looks like, or if it's going to look at all,
Yes, right.
But one of the things that you say in the book is that joy is as important as food and air. Can you talk about that? Why is joy as important as food and air?
Yes, and it's look, I'm getting chills. It's a big cojones statement, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the truth is that we're seeing more than ever from the pandemic. We had more hope in the beginning because we'd never had that experience. Mm-hmm. But as more things pile on and more things pile on, for a world that's of course changing, I love to say, you buy property or land or whatever, you create something new. And you have the first piece that's pristine, and then you dig into it, and you're building it, you can make muck. And then you eventually, you're going to have this great house or this great whatever you're building. But you're holding on to this blueprint, so you have hope all the time. Like, you can always go back and look at it. We're in a time now where that's difficult. Like, we don't know what we're looking at. And that makes people scared. And we're seeing mental health situations that we've never experienced at these levels before because we're living through so much uncertainty. And as humans, we crave certainty. So, of course, that's going at odds with our basic need to know we're safe. And so in these moments, leaning into a permission, which a lot of us don't have. If you come here from a certain other place and you have a goal, or you come through a religious institution or a family that has a very specific guideline, it's not even their fault, but you're kind of creating this concept of living a life of should and not living a life of what I feel back to your heart. So if we chose that, then we'd know that when you go on the airplane, you have to put your mask on first so someone else doesn't, so that you have enough air in your lungs to help someone else put their mask on, like your child or your partner. Mm-hmm. We're not doing that in our lives because we don't believe that we deserve that first. So if we get a mindset that joy, it's a word that's in almost every spiritual text in the world, joy. So it can't be something we're supposed to get away from. And if even certain religions and stuff have been co-opted for the business or the needs of society at large, they pushed us to a thing of, we all have old people that would say, like, what do you feel for? Versus what do you, and so that is a feel for is living your heart. Like, and even if that sounds woo-woo, you've been in a building that felt weird, you've been to a party, an event, an experience, you're like, it's not for me. That's energy. So if we're the chief energy officers of our lives, if we know that the most important thing is the energy we have in our bodies and how it impacts other people, or if we're all talking about we're goddesses and gods and kings and queens, what do? They spend all day and night making sure that they were in an energetic resonant state. They bathed themselves in certain things. They talked to people, they communed with nature because they knew their energy was contingent on the world being safe or trading with other communities, so that you had to bring people in and know that you felt good enough to do business with or commerce or marry each other's children. I'm going into big topics. I'm going bigger, but I want to just emphasize that we use all these buzzwords that we can't actually manifest stuff until we start fucking ourselves by having another story running underneath that you're not worthy and you don't deserve it. So I want to debunk that pleasure and joy, these are all luxuries, and say they're essential. Because if you wake up in the morning and the first thing you do is grab your phone, you're on someone else's ride. You all of a sudden are not the star of your own story. You're someone else's reality, and so how can you access anything but sugar as the day goes on? You're looking for sweetness, you're looking for joy, you're looking for pleasure and things to satisfy you, but you're not creating the foundation of the empire that is you. And so if you can just start your day for 30 seconds, just a little gratitude. Thank you. So what I'm really saying is that joy is an energy. It's a way of life. It's a concept about how you treat yourself, how you talk to yourself, how you make sure that you are as taken care of as your child or your spouse or your lover, whatever motivates you to take better care of them than you do yourself. That comes from joy. And the last point about that is you'll see little kids, they're talking to you, you're having a serious conversation, they're twirling their leg, or they're shaking, or they're dancing. They're doing what they need to do to soothe themselves, to feel comfortable enough to receive whatever they have to receive, or shake off uncomfortableness. When did we lose that?
Right.
That was making joy our priority.
Mm-hmm.
So breath and eating food and getting dressed, they're all necessities. But if you put the clothes on and you eat the food and you still walk out and you're digesting hate or fear, you know what I'm saying? You're not living in a resonant, energetic state to manifest, to attract the things you want in your life, or even to just feel okay, to manage the next step of your day. I know it was long-winded. There's a lot of things in there.
No, yeah, it wasn't long-winded at all, and I think it's necessary to have such a thorough response, because even as you were responding, I started thinking about all these other things, that are at play when it comes to, folks making that decision, like you said, when they wake up. From the time you wake up in the morning, we are always looking to be distracted, from our pain, from whatever it is that is bothering us or frustrating us. And so I think that's a big reason why folks, from the time that they wake up, look for other things. Like, I don't want to be present to myself, because if I am, then I'm going to be sad. I guess, because even listening to the book too, and you talking about, I think it was really brilliant how you talked about folks who were enslaved, like enslaved Africans, and the psychology around that, and the notion of like laying low and playing it small, and having fear be instilled in you, not just in, you as a person, but like in your blood memory. And then that gets passed down through generations. And so we're fighting against something really, really deep, really entrenched. And so for our listeners, like, I know you said, like, start your day with music, and you have, a lot of things that you offer as tools. But for listeners, like, what is one, like, bare minimum basic thing that they can do to start their day, which can hopefully have maybe a domino effect and impact them throughout the day? Because it does feel like such a heavy lift when we're not only dealing with our trauma, but the trauma of our mothers and our fathers and our grandparents and, generations. And I know that that's heavy, but how do can we breathe it out? Can we, dance it out? Like, what can that look like?
Well, first of all, thank you for just a full question, because I feel like you set up so well that we do have the perception that it's hard. And I want to start with that. Well, first, actually, I wanted to tell you something before I forget. There's this incredible book that everyone should listen to or read. It's called The Sacred Yes. And it says, the subline is, I am with you always. And it's as revealed to by Reverend Dr. L. Johnson. I mean, this book is powerful, and she really gets into some very soft whys and some ways for us to look at a lot of those topics and to tangle them. And then I really want to invite everybody to think about the words we use around these things, like the way we feel things are hard, because those are ways that our brain, who is seeking security and safety, can keep us push back, right? Like, for example, if our heart and our brain and our ego were little kids inside our body, and think about the old cartoons where they would put the angel and the devil on your shoulders, there is a concept that there's a duality of us. But we're taught in our world that we have to always feel good and achieve and be great, and we don't leave any room for the other side of us, which there's no way. There's nothing in nature that goes up and doesn't go down, right? Gravity, water, everything. So we have to start to first be okay with however we're feeling. And we're taught that those are scary feelings, I think, because the brain comes in and makes things better. And the ego is a great hype person, so it's going to help whoever's in charge. And we often, and I believe pre-verbally, we stop our hearts from being in charge. Because let's say that you're my mother, and Aiyisha is my baby, and I'm nursing her. And so we're nursing for 3 days now. She nurses every time she looks up in my eyes. We're in love. All the hormones of love are all around, and we're feeling euphoric. She feels that she's hit the jackpot of a good life choice, right? And as far as the animal we are in our boot camp, we have things other animals don't have in that, you're not coming out with some tools like walking, like a lot of animals. Mm-hmm. So you're very vulnerable as this new being coming. You need to secure the people who are feeding you and carrying you around, bathing you and stuff, because you're a fragile thing right now. And really, this is science. I'm saying it very, like Chris Hicks says, tell me like I'm sick.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's how I learn anyway. That's where I am. Just explain it to me real simple. So I'm trying to really give everyone the context so we can start giving ourselves permission to stop, right? Defining these things in a way that keeps us from them. So back to the story of Nurse and Aiyisha. So now on the 4th day, you call me and you give me that bad news. I take my eyes away from Aiyisha's eyes. So now on her 4 days of life, she's freaking out because this love that she's feeling has been coming is the worst thing that's ever happened to her. And so now on the 5th day, I'm nursing Aiyisha, and I'm now on the phone with you, and I'm saying, oh, it's so cute. She now pulls my elbow every time she nurses. You know what that is? That's a performative love act now. She's now pulling the love in because she's realizing, oh, in her 6 days, I now know I've got to keep the gravy train coming. And so, we're like, this is so cute. So now, because without understanding, because she's pre-verbal, that heart thing now has a little ping to it. Oh, okay, so if I don't do this, and so maybe if Aiyisha's the oldest child, she's going to then become hyper-vigilant at taking care because she's learned quickly in her little file that she's now loaded in her brain and the computer that if I don't kind of keep the love going, it may not come. So she might turn into a people pleaser or a fear of rejectionite. And so we become adults and we start to morph. We all have that relationship. At first, you're just loving who you are, and then all of a sudden you don't recognize each other anymore because you've merged. But I believe that we do that with our core family. And if the first time that you do this, when you make a human, you're an amateur first, because no one who's not an amateur can apply the first time.
Right.
So then they're making mistakes, and I believe that's so that we can start to really reorganize our relationship and our deal memos and our contracts with each other over and over as we evolve and grow. So why do I say all that? What can we do? We can realize that we don't need an intermediary to talk to our version of source. We actually know, like small children, the things that soothe us, the things that calm us down, not the things we make addiction, like food or lovers, and that's not bad. But when you use something, as you said, to avoid a thing, whatever it is now an addiction. Whatever it is. And the thing is not bad. It's just that we're clinging to something because we have the pre-verbal memory that when we lean into our heart, when we fall in love, when we trust, when we believe someone, it ends badly. That being communication from our heart is confrontation. Yeah. So if you were going to invite me to work out and lose weight or whatever I want to do, and you're inviting me to a boot camp, I would call you days later and brag, oh my God, every time I sit in the toilet, my legs hurt. I'm complaining, bragging, because I know that has pain to it.
Right.
The word courage, the original root of it is the French word cœur, which means heart. And the original meaning was the courage to tell the truth of my own heart. We got to get brave. We have to start doing things like calling Aiyisha and saying, I'm terrified. This book is my biggest dream. It's about to come out. And Eureka, I'm learning from my spiritual egoism that not everybody wants to hear this shit. It's okay with not everyone liking me. Right. And not everyone receiving that. And you know what? That's my work. That's a trigger for me to. So what do I do in that moment to take care of myself and self-soothe? The old me would have gotten a Starbucks latte. I would have been looking for sugar to feed my pancreas to feel safe, to bring some sweetness in so I don't feel like life is so frightening. But instead, I said, you know what? Let me look to the kids in my life because they're cleaner. 0 to 7 don't have as much analytical mind until someone tells them they can't do something. So let me feel what they do. They play. And what do people do who really have amassed great wealth? They start to play. Because it's not until we let our heart become the boss, the Joy Strategist, really helping us feel what feels good and trusting that feeling no matter how weird it looks or how complicated it feels, knowing that, at 53 and now I can see all those things coming back to be my big support. So what can you do if you're on the side of the road and you just don't know how your way to get back on the road? You can take 3 seconds, you can close your eyes, you can practice every day finding the last time. You could be 1, it could have been 12, where you felt so good inside yourself that you were bragging about it. Remember those days you wanted to find someone because you felt you looked so good and you felt so good you wanted someone else to witness?
Right.
You're going to
look at
find
this.
That moment. You're going to then live in it for 2 seconds. You're going to meditate in it. You're going to just sit in it, and you're going to say, okay, what was I doing in that moment? Oh, it was that song. Okay, that's it. And even if you have 4 husbands, 7 kids, 25 jobs, you can listen to that song while you're taking a shit, And it can remind you to breathe and go back into your body and be remembered that you're okay. Mm-hmm. Then you're going to listen to that song. And then you're going to do it for 30 days, so you're going to make it a habit. And you're going to realize that if you do that every morning when you're brushing your teeth, every single day you're going to elevate. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to realize that if you leave the house feeling good, you don't bring some Joy snacks with you like you would food on a long trip. So you can then bring that song to the office.
Right.
Let's say your thing is, drawing. I take a little book now everywhere I go. When I'm feeling social anxiety, which I do have, as you both know, people don't get that, or I'm feeling whatever, I'll start to color. And it's funny, people come over, or I don't know how to talk to someone, I'll start playing hangman. Things I did as a kid. Mm-hmm. If you love to play double dutch, if you love to ride a bike, if walking was your thing, if you love to water, you just have to start to put those things into your life, and it doesn't have to be expensive, it doesn't have to be complicated, it could be a picture. It could be a video that you took when you were at the ocean that you look at every day. It could be just walking down the street and saying, thank you for that, thank you for this. But that's why I say it's so essential that we just make joy a priority.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We build it into the day just like we build in,
Right, everything else.
Yep.
Right, so anyway, yes, that's it.
Yeah. Thank you.
What about this?
Hey, Grace, this is Afua. And so my question, this is Mdaiyah, I'm sorry. My question is, what can you describe the concept of Earth School?
Yes. And everyone hold my hand with this one and stay with me. Afua, everyone hold my hand.
We got you.
Thank you. All I'm saying, and again, I really want everyone to understand, I am not anti-religious at all. Mm-hmm. All I'm saying, though, is that if somebody decided that somebody was a spiritual person, human, a being, a God, and they took what they felt was gospel and they applied it to their lives, that's beautiful. You can do the same thing with nature, with anything. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when things get commodified, right, they start to build a structure around how to keep that big thing going. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is that we stop being fact checkers of our own life. Does that feel right to me? Does maybe there's something else. And that's how everything happens. We all thought the world was flat once, then we thought it was round. I mean, now some people think it's flat. So there is some truth to figuring out what we really believe for ourselves and holding that dear. So I believe that we are on a planet, we're on Earth to learn. This is the place you go to learn. This is the place where we get the experiences to send to whatever the next experience is. And that might sound woo-woo, or it even could just be, that this is a school. We're coming here. And I say that because, again, you don't have to believe in other lives, other realms, but we've all had that moment where we went somewhere and we felt that we've been there before.
Yes.
And you meet somebody and you instantly know them, right? So just meet whatever it is, whatever of God of your understanding, nature of understanding, spirituality. But we have a lot of hardships here. As much as things are fantastic, they also are really challenging and really complicated. And as I'm 53, and we all on this phone have lived through things and in our lives, everyone, that then became the gift. Because you drop deeper. Like if every day was sunshine and rainbows and roses, we wouldn't move. Right? I wouldn't. I'd be like, I'm on this beach. I'm getting fed for free. Aiyisha's sitting here. Everyone's here. We're having a party. But we have to be pushed to grow. Right. And I believe that that's what this is here. And if we could realize that every time something happens, back to that boot camp reality, it's not against us. It's not here to torture us. It's here to tickle us a little, push us a little bit, open up more. As Rumi says, you have to crack your heart open, so Mantisas, to really find love, to really be in love, because it's not holding on or grasping. So I always laugh that I'm a super senior on this planet because I don't have a lot of traditional education, but I know a lot of things. I have a lot of, the clairgnosis, like a claircognizance of this, and I've learned to trust it. And yet I can see that I've experienced these things before, even getting married 3 times. I feel like there's an experience that I keep, not failing, but having to dissect from different places to lean into myself. But ultimately it pushed me to write this book and fall deeply in love with myself. Right. And I felt a conversation of sorts. So that's what I mean by Earth School. If we can lean into that, it's not here against us. It's here to invite us in. There's things we learned in kindergarten that we still use. And there's things we learned in kindergarten that we don't need anymore. But we had to advance and learn that from a 10th grade perspective or a real life affected with money. So if we could look at life that way, we wouldn't deem intimate conversations as hard work. We wouldn't be afraid to trust our hearts and try a new experience, travel to a new place, or try a new food, or date somebody that feels scary, or you'd speak up to someone that's really pushing our heart into a hiding place. So that's why I say this is Earth School.
Okay. No, I definitely like that concept, and definitely thank you for explaining your understanding of it, because I can relate to what you're saying. I, for one, I've gone into, the educational system on different times, and I haven't graduated on, according to them, but
Right.
through the world and my own experiences on this earth, Earth School. So thank you, and appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Yes, I say.
This is so you're bringing up things that people have not been asking me a lot. So this is really fun.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
We were going to do the deep dive now.
We'd like to go deep.
I was like, and we could go deeper too if you want.
Yeah, because when I was skimming through the book, because I haven't completely read it yet, Earth School stood out to me, and I was like, oh. And then Asantewa handed me the question. She's our executive producer over here, so and I said, oh, I had that question already in my head, so it was perfect. She knows I'm the Earth one.
She's the earthy one.
Yeah,
Right.
So it's like, that's a perfect question for you.
And it's helpful because, we all have our different, and again, that's my philosophy. Mm-hmm. I'm just really trying to the tickle pleasure part is inviting all of us to pick the things up yourself and hold it upside down and open it up. And, it's called a fork, but maybe that's not what you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And like that is where joy lies, in the imagination inside your heart.
Yes.
Being able to, and also please, read the book like an oracle. There's one of my favorite books called The Genie. It's so dense that when I first saw it, I just put it near my bed for almost a year because it was so academic looking. Mm-hmm. And then I read it and it said, read it like an oracle. Mm-hmm. So opening up my book to any page, to any exercise. And, maybe that's a way to even start to train yourself to listen to yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Say the name of that book again. I think you cut out a little bit.
The last one or the one I said before?
The last one.
The Gene Keys. It's by Richard Rudd. It's so good. Because what it does is it takes a lot of spiritual faith, and also it takes our body, because I really believe that our bodies are the temple, and they really are the one vehicle we're going to have the rest of our days. We love our cars outside, but we don't really treat our actual physical home as kindly as we could for our optimal health. Like a lot of cultures believe your stomach is your second brain. Mm-hmm. So he gets down even to amino acids, and how there's a connection between our placements in the world and also what we ingest and what different organs mean in terms of their toxicity and work for us to do even spiritually around that. So he goes very deep.
Very deep.
But those two books, The Sacred Yes by Dr. Barbara and also Gene Keys, Richard Rudd, but it's big, it's dense, and so is my book as well. Open it up. Use it like an oracle. Feel into it. Even I suggested, there's a woman who told me that she got a few friends together, and they would just once a month, one person would lead, and they'd do one of the exercises together. So there's so many ways to experience this and every other learning tool. You can gamify everything.
Yes. Yeah.
So true.
Yes, I encourage folks to start book clubs or listening clubs, however you want to do it.
I think
because
that's what we should do.
Yeah,
Daughters of the Whirlwind book club.
Yeah, we definitely can start it.
Yeah.
We definitely can start it, and we can start with the Joy Strategist.
Yeah. I like that.
There's so many, and I know you just published this book, but even as I'm listening and as I was listening to the audiobook, there are so many phrases, there's just so many nuggets that beg for, further discussion and interrogation and just exploration. Mm-hmm. And I love that concept of your stomach being your second brain. And you talked about being a chief energy officer. So there's so many, even if we just had a book of terms or something like that,
we need Joy Strategist phrases.
Yes. Because they're all so juicy.
I also think, that it's interesting, right, the concept of the book club, but why not a starting club or the Empire of Me club? Because let's look higher. So many people in business do a lot of practices that we don't all do. Why aren't we transparent how we're raising fund money for businesses, or tips on your own podcast, or real estate deals, or in-home creating your own inner garden, or expanding, like helping each other with our tools. Maybe each person teaches something. I think we really need to get back to a grassroots and the Black Panther concept of creating things in the communities at grassroots level that expand us all.
Absolutely.
And on a higher level now, there's so much to learn, tech and things, and let's get all the kids to teach us all the things. And have a TikTok. Someone can help me with that.
You're right.
TikTok
'Cause
tutorial.
I need somebody to help me with crypto.
Right.
Man.
Oh, yes. Right. I have a list.
It's all just everything is tutorial now, and we just got to go seek those who know it, because if we try to figure it out ourselves, we're gonna get lost and confused. So I agree.
All right, so we are going to honor your time and begin our closeout with a little play. And so this segment is called the Power 5. And so what we'll do is share 5 rapid-fire questions and or phrases or words, and we'd like you to respond with the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. So the first word is joy.
The first thing that comes to my mind is just how amazing the world would feel if we all lived in joy. We'd have, just a different perspective, just a different energetic state, greeting each other to play and having that be the expectation of our time together, removing social awkwardness with people just being free to say, Afua, will you play with me? I want to be your friend. I brought a toy over. You hurt my feelings. And just getting to what joy really means on all levels, being the embodiment of joy, which is really, to me, being your own self-lover.
Absolutely.
I love that.
I love it.
Okay, the next one, whirlwind.
Whirlwind. Whirlwind was my life up until a couple of years ago. I felt like my day was about taking care of everyone and achieving, and, getting my endorphins are hit by, being the best one and the first one and the least burdensome. And so now a whirlwind to me is pleasure, putting myself in a situation where I give myself enough time to be in the things I enjoy and just feel that the imagination bringing passion and creativity through me and dancing and singing and enjoying when it's raining outside and mood and energy. So rechanging that word and not having it be negative, but letting it be what magic really is, which is chaos.
Ashe.
Yes. All right. So my question is, who is your favorite revolutionary?
Oh, that's so hard. Okay, so when I was, I don't remember how old I was, but I know it was before high school. I always used to go to this bookstore in Manhattan because I was going to school in Manhattan at the time. And it was on 6th Avenue and 11th Street. And it's a weird building because it's in the center, but it has a gorgeous garden. And I learned it used to be a women's prison. And I learned that Assata Shakur was in that prison. And so I became obsessed with reading all the periodicals about it and then reading her book. So I I related to her. I felt her experience. I was in that building. So I can't say that she's a favorite because I feel like there's so many and I could keep going. What's his name? I'm going to mess it up. In Haiti,
Toussaint
Louverture.
Woo! Thank you. Because there's nothing sexier to me than people all working together to do something that's fucking cool and changes the world.
Yes.
Absolutely.
To take down Napoleon and
Come on.
you have to use their own resources and their spiritual dynamism to defeat the biggest army. And it's just, whoa. But then, even all my fashion sense, and I remember one time, what's his name? KT. I was in his office and he was like, you have your own weird style, but I love it. I see it. I don't even know the word to use, but I remember laughing. And then I remember thinking, where does my style reference come from? And I remember being, my parents were both teenagers, so I watched a lot of stuff before I really was mature to get it. And one of the movies I saw early was The Harder They Come. And so Jimmy Cliff was just badass. And the whole movie was the first time I saw just brown gangsters and then also music, which is my fucking favorite thing in the world.
Right.
And then, Angela Davis just blows my everything. I think Maya Angelou, though, is what I base my everything in life on. She's my everything.
Right.
I even listened to myself when I was writing the book. I made a playlist. I was in different places, traveling, working with clients. I was doing a lot of deep intimacy work during the pandemic, which was wild, and I can't wait to talk to you all about that. And I learned a lot about us. But just, you know, I would get nervous, and so I put that poem that she does where she's like, you know, I'm just like who I am, and my like, you know, that poem where she's
I know what you're talking
wild,
about.
bearing in the tide, and you know, like, who am I not to be the embodiment of my ancestors' like biggest wish? So I listened to that a lot, and then when I was getting on stage earlier to do a lot of the book promo, you know, I'm famously a behind-the-scenes person. If Melody Hobson hadn't said you're just writing yourself out of history and not taking photos, I used to brag to you, Aiyisha, like, oh, every time I got promoted in the music industry, oh, I don't need a photo. It's not about me. Blah, 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 blah.
Yes, it is.
So I bring her. I think of that thing where she says every time I get on stage, I bring my ancestors all with me and say, I did this for you. You're the outspoken one. You're the this one. So even before this show, like I tapped in and I took a few seconds while we were getting online to just ask them to use me as a vessel and tell them I'm so grateful for their time. So I think as a day-to-day human, it's Maya, for sure, Maya Angelou, and Dr. Maya Angelou, and give her full credit.
Yeah,
I like, you know, how do I like giving? I like to say when women have PhDs and stuff, like giving the credit, really letting
because
people
they
know
work for it. They work hard
how
for
much
it.
work. Yeah. So I could keep going, and then the first time I came for Thanksgiving, you all were like a cartoon. You were like the anime cartoon version of just like a fucking badass family, military style, who can take people down. But with it's like you all sit at a certain level of standard of life, and it's not even judgmental, but just everyone has to jump up and meet you there. And to me, that is the greatest activism, and that's what I talk about in the book, because you can't have outer systemic change without inner systemic change. You can't even see, as complicated as the world issues now, what are we fighting over? We're fighting over God of our understanding. But you can't fight over God of your understanding, because God of your understanding is love. And so to me, your family is activism, because I've seen you love so deeply on such a profound agape level, you know, even partners of parents and spouses. And I feel like as brown people, you know, I feel on purpose we weren't taught that an empire is a marriage of sorts. It is a family. It is an understanding that everyone is a business together, and we've made a commitment to grow as a community. Yeah. And so your family, to me, on every level, even when writing the Starting Five, I thought about all of you. Like it's really the way you all work together. It's just, there's so much in there, and I really want to highlight you all, not because I'm trying to brown nose on this podcast. To say, the truth is that we are empires, and if we start to treat ourselves like individual empires, understand that our collaborations through our heart connection is the only way to alter this planet. So you all. So maybe I'm sorry it's not one. It's just more of like my high spot, my top 10.
It's a community. It's a community. Yes, we appreciate it. Yeah. A song.
With that word community, so we got to take it back.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it has become a buzzword. Let's build community.
What is that?
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I get started.
So the next phrase is a song, because I know you talk so much about music and the power of music in your life. A song that everyone should hear.
You know, when I started, I really, music is how I therapize and live, and I have a playlist. Even when I'm feeling sad, I'll sit in the tub and I'll listen to this and answer back this playlist. And so I had to really, when the book was hard, I was having peaks where the book felt hard to do. I made it its own reality, and it had its own song. Wow. And it's by Heatwave, Star of the Story. Even though the lyrics kind of really not really saying that, but the message just hit me home that as much as we're in this me, like we live now backstage, and virtual is where we go out. Like to be online and gamify socials and gamify dating and gamify traveling and gamify gaming and gamify groceries. And we live in game now. Like we're in a game. We're in a simulation, whatever. And that we go out, we put on these avatars now, even with our looks and our creations of ourselves. So I got lost in my whole...
But yeah, the song, the heat wave.
Yeah, so heat wave was the start of the story with me, because really look at that. Like, how are you the star of your story? Like, do you really choose yourself first? You know, I used to be, when I came home on my own, I would just throw on anything and eat whatever's in the fridge. But let a lover come over, and all of a sudden I'm cleaning and incensing and making food. And So I now treat myself that way. You know, I give that to myself, that energy, and create that feeling in my own reality.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. And the last question is your prayer for the next generation.
Yes. Can we just go back to 5? Can we stay there? And I think I'm noticing it. I had a little debate with Michaela a few weeks ago because you go in stores and stuff, and kids don't. No one's interested in performatively smiling at you or having small talk. And, you know, that's actually my love language. I just walk around the streets, as you all know, like, hi, I love your thing. I find people just light me up. I want to say something. But I do appreciate that they really are choosing their own hearts in a way. We can't see it as the older generation that way because we're trained to be kind, even if it's fake, and not say things and say in our own head, to be polite and, you know, whatever. But I appreciate that the Z's on down are really like, how do I feel? And so my wish for them is that we strip everything down to what matters. And I'm not anti-make money and live black excellence, and I'm not anti that concept. But what I'm saying is let's also teach our children the legacy of feeling good, you know, of like prioritize. You go to other countries, they still have siestas in the middle of their day.
Yes.
Or they take a 6-week vacation. It's mandatory because they understand that you're not in your optimal. Remember when I took over a Creative Island Def Jam, Aiyisha, and I was bragging? I was saying you had a person who we won't say who they are. I love her so much. She's going to know who it is when she listens. She came into my office and said, don't worry, I never take vacation. And I said, well, then you can work here because I want people who take vacation, who prioritize themselves, who feel lit up, who come in with new ideas, who feel fresh, who are cheating on me in my department by talking to other companies and other artists and bringing back. Like, let's inspire each other to be our best and be our most fantastic. So I want the next generation to just make sure that their calendars also have a time to walk in nature for 10 minutes. A vacation with my 5 friends is essential. That we demystify this concept that having other people in your life that turn you on is somehow an affair to your relationship, but making you full. I'm not saying cheating. I'm saying you have people that you can talk about something that maybe his partner doesn't like to talk about. And they just start to really be honest about that. You know, it scares me when you want to go spend time with a fua on your vacation because I think that means you don't love to be with me. I got there. It is so freeing. I had to train my heart. It was very terrified because I was trained that I don't want to be a burden. I want people to love me, and I don't want to say anything wrong or hurt anyone's feelings. But getting over that was the greatest gift of life. And sometimes I hit you. Like, you won't hit me for a few weeks, and I'm like, are you mad at me? And I don't care how that looks because I'd rather have clean relationships and know I don't wonder. I know you love me. I know. And if you know what? We should be choosing people that we feel safe enough to say those things to. Otherwise, they don't really know the true you and don't care to.
That's right.
It's true. That's so true.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Grace.
That was really great.
I could talk to you forever.
Yes.
We definitely have to
But
do
you all
this
know I
again.
talk to you all for it, too.
Yes, we'll have to do a conversation in person.
Yes.
That we do, and then we have a deeper than this conversation. I mean, but
where we have like tools and play
dates.
Yes,
we do a play date with Grace. Okay, so we're gonna pencil that in. We're gonna do a play date with Grace at some point.
Yes.
So everybody listening, we will let you know when that's gonna happen.
Yes.
And we invite you all to get the Joy Strategist. So, Grace, tell everybody where they can get this book.
I am so grateful to tell you can get it wherever books are sold. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your local bookstore. I'm really, really a big lover of mom and pops. And so they all have websites. They all can ship. You know, if you like a local store, you can really keep it alive by also using their online platforms. You also can go listen to the audiobook. I worked hard to get out of my own way and record it. And then, if you want to have a play date with me one-on-one, you can go to thejoystrategist.com. or through Instagram at Grace Harry.
All right.
Thank you for that. And I also wanted to just share with the listeners, on the back of the book, it says, first things first. Joy is one of our most basic needs. Before you work for anyone else, every single day of your life, you need to tap into your own joy.
All right. Yes.
Yes. That deserves an applause. Thank you so much.
Well, you know how much we love you.
Yes,
so proud of you.
Congratulations.
Yes. Thank you.
Can't wait for the next
Right. All the things
The
to come.
next.
Joy
And the
And
next.
the
And the
next.
next. And the next.
Yep. So looking forward to it.
We love
Thank
you,
for being
Grace.
on our platform.
Love you all.
Yes. Take care.
Talk to you
Thank
soon.
you.
All right.
Have fun today.
Yes.
Thank you. You too.
Live and enjoy.
All right. Grace is a force.
Yes.
A force, y'all.
Yes.
Yeah, please pick up the book, you know.
Or listen to it.
Yeah, or listen to
listen
it.
to
It
it,
was
yeah.
great listening. I started doing audiobooks this summer, and it changed my life. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah,
know, from now
I've been
on.
doing that more often. And then, but one of the strategies he said, I'm like that too. I'll have a book, and it will sit on the side of my bed for a good few months. And every now and then I pick it up, flip through it, be like, "Ooh, I like that." And that's how sometimes I read it, because sometimes I just can't get into it right then and there.
Right.
Like there's a book, I was like the first probably 10 chapters, I was like, "Oh no, I can't read this book." But then later when I flipped through I was like, okay, I get the end
Yes,
of
just
it.
it takes time to get through some of them sometimes.
Yeah.
I listened to audiobooks more when I was younger because Grandma Geneva
Yes.
listened to
Oh, right.
audiobooks.
Yes, she did.
So our maternal grandmother, Grandma Geneva, God rest her soul, was blind, but she loved books.
Oh yes.
And so I would sit and listen to audiobooks with her.
Yes.
And she liked all the detective,
Yeah.
like the mysteries.
I
And she'd
remember
always
that.
figure
Yeah.
out who was what
It was
before.
before it was done.
Yeah,
Yes.
way before.
That's that brain
And
work.
so, and now I find myself reading. I always read books. Always read books. Always loved to read
mandatory
books.
for us to do that
Yes.
growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Encyclopedias.
yes, let us just share with you. We had to not only read books, but then we had to do reports
Exactly.
on these books.
And it
Oral and written.
Yes, and yes,
And it wasn't not a school assignment. This was
this was from our parents, especially in the summertime.
Right.
We were on vacation though.
Right.
You
I
gonna
think we
do
had two sets
some
of
reading.
encyclopedias.
Oh,
Two
yeah.
sets, at least two. We had
One
a
was
children's
blue.
version.
Yes.
And
one
then
was
we
brown.
had the adult version.
And we used to have to learn a word a day from the dictionary.
Yes.
Yes.
And what the
Meaning
the
is-
definition was.
It reminded me of when we would come to mommy and use so-called small words.
Yeah.
Like, you need to expand your vocabulary.
Or ask
Why
her,
are you speaking like
Or if
that?
you ask her, what does that mean? She's like,
Look it
Look it up.
I tell her to
Use
do
your own
now.
brain. I remember she would
and
say
they be
that.
like, look it up.
You have
You're
a brain,
supposed to tell
right?
us. I said, no, use your brain. I said,
She
my
would say,
mother
"Don't
used to
use
say the
mine."
same thing.
Exactly.
I tell the children now, and it's easier for you. All you got to do is put it in your phone.
Exactly.
Free is just
It'll
learning
come
how to
up.
read, and I tell her that now.
Right. We had to go downstairs, get the encyclopedia or dictionary. You could just pick up your phone, Google it, and then you
And
have
don't
all
think she's
types
gonna
of
forget. She's
definitions.
gonna come back and ask you about
Yeah.
5-10
Right.
minutes later.
Right.
Exactly. So what did you learn?
Right.
And you better
What
have
does it
learned
mean?
something.
So what is onomatopoeia? Huh?
And-
What is it?
right. What is it?
And how do you spell it?
Right. What's the noun? What's the everything about it? Is it a noun, verb? What? Keep going.
Yes.
So that's important, like you said.
Yeah, so reading is fundamental. And listening, however,
Yes.
whichever it is that, makes you happy. Whatever
Right.
brings you joy, choose that one for
But some
yourself.
people like to watch,
Yes.
movies that turn into
Yeah.
books
Yeah.
that turn into movies.
Yeah.
It's-
However,
it's a
if
different
you're
way.
receiving the information,
Then
then,
receive it.
that's what it
Exactly.
is.
Yep. Whatever brings you joy, do that.
Yeah. So I do want to say one thing before we close out on joy. Yesterday was I know this is going to air later, but yesterday, during our birthday party extravaganza yesterday, at the ice skating party for my niece Free, I was walking down.
Asantewa's daughter.
Yes, Asantewa's
My
daughter.
baby girl.
I was walking down, and I'm walking, and all I see on the skating rink, on the ice skates, is Kalfani pushing Musa. And the joy on Musa's face, he had his ice skates up like he was doing a wheelie, while Kalfani was holding the brace, and Kalfani was just zooming. And you could just see the joy on both of their faces. Like, he was like, and Musa was just like, yes.
There is
Yes.
something about the wind on your face.
Yes.
There is
Yes.
something about that
Yep.
feeling.
And I just walked, and
Yeah.
I was just smiling. I'm sure people probably was like, "Is she awesome? What is she thinking about?"
I'm on that joy.
Yeah.
That's what I'm on.
that joy.
I'm high off joy
But
right
yeah,
now.
it was just a joyful to even think. Like, in my mind, I'm like, wow, Musa must be feeling really good, and Kafani must be feeling good. They're bonding.
Yeah.
Because they 14 years apart, but it was good to just watch that. So that
No,
was
I
a
love that
joyful
you-
moment.
I love that you said that, and it does play into what we were discussing with Grace too. Like you're not too old to play,
Right?
Because when I said Kafani's like, why are y'all making this about me? When I sent Kafani the invitation for the ice skating party, for a 6-year-old girl,
Right.
and I was like, yeah, she asked me to invite you, and he was like, I would love to come, and even it helped me even to like recalibrate and say like, okay, well, there's really no such thing as like, oh, this is a kid's thing.
Right.
It's like no, and I think
thing.
or a child's
Kids are
thing.
baby goats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
kids
They
are
don't
baby
ice
goats.
skate.
We and that was one of the things that Ifalani would remind us of. I've been out in the world. these terms, but yes, children. But I think as a family, unspoken, we have always done that.
Yes.
So
Oh,
it
yeah.
doesn't matter if the person is turning 1 or 2 or whatever. It's like, oh no,
55.
yeah, we're all just gonna be there and celebrate, and there's no. And definitely, again, to Grace's point, like Free is 5.
Yeah.
This is her last day of being 5. But she is 5, and she said to me, like, oh no, I want these people here.
Yeah.
And some of them were children, and some of them were adults. Well, most of them were adults.
Well, I
And
had
she's
fun
not seeing
watching.
that.
I wasn't skating.
Yeah, she's not
but
seeing that distinction.
I had fun watching, especially Fumi.
Yes.
Our niece Fumi Lyle,
Yes.
she was
Fire.
She stayed on the
Yes,
ice.
and
And
so
cried.
courageous.
And didn't wanna get off.
And so
Yeah.
independent. Yes.
I mean, she tried to fight me to take them ice skates. I said,
Right. She's like, I wanna.
because we have another birthday dinner to go to. She
Yes.
said, but I just want to skate.
Right.
I said, well, you'll get to skate more often.
Yeah.
Right. She's like,
So-
I want this.
And that was her first time. I know.
It's something about the certain signs, seasons of children.
Mm-hmm.
But she was, and the joy in her face.
Yeah.
Especially
Yeah.
when Kafani was pushing her. She was like, okay. But then we
Mm-hmm.
let her go and do it herself. She was like, I got this. And she was doing it. So it was a joyful moment just to watch all of them experience the ice skating in their own way.
Yeah.
Some of them was just out there doing it. Some took their time. Free. She said, I didn't do good. I said, yes, you did. You did
Yeah,
great. Give me
you did
5.
fine.
I said, you went out there and did it.
And I
Yeah.
tell her all the time, as long as you are honoring yourself, because I think, and even as a mother, and I know as mothers, we all can do that sometimes where, our child might do something
Right.
and then you might be you wanted it to go a different way.
Right.
But I'm always trying to check myself when I find myself
Yeah.
doing that. Like, hey, come on, let's do it. And she's clearly like, no.
No, right.
And so then I turn that into congratulating her.
Yes.
And for honoring her
Yeah.
own feelings
Yeah.
and her own wants and desires. Because, it's not joyful for me to do
Right.
this because everybody else wants me to do
Right.
it. I want
I
to
have
sit
to-
here.
yeah.
Right. Other people get to decide that they want to watch.
Right.
And so let me do that.
Yeah.
I tried
Absolutely.
it.
And
I
it
wasn't
wasn't my
really
thing.
enjoying
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and I'm going to sit here and I'm cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's
Have my
what we
hot
do have to
chocolate and
accept that.
vegan donut.
Right.
And that's it.
enjoy my birthday party.
Yes.
Yep.
So yes, we are so thankful for each other. We're thankful for our guest, Grace Harry, the Joy
Yes.
Strategist. And we are thankful for you, our listeners.
Yes.
And we appreciate you, and we hope that we are inspiring joy.
In each
For
and every
you.
one.
Yes.
Yes. And knowing that you all are listening gives us joy as well.
Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
To know that we have an audience, a listening audience.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
All
Until
right.
next
Until
time.
next time.
Peace.
You have been listening to the Seedz of Revolution, Daughters of the Whirlwind podcast.
Listen to us at blackpowermedia.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
Follow us at Seedz of Revolution, that's Seedz with a Z, and Daughters of the Whirlwind on all platforms.
Be blessed.
Look for me in the world.